Good evening, America. You are about to listen to me, Sergeant Dave, with the Remember the Fallen. After the survival instincts of an 8-ton rollover accident in the Parwan province of Afghanistan in 2004, I emerged and returned to the States with an even more enduring tale of perseverance. As I navigate the troubled waters of the VA system, I gain new perspective and a renaissance that I will share with you with the fever of enthusiasm to all patriots across the windswept fields of America. Yeah, you're going to listen to me and a bunch of other jarheads, squids, wingnuts. We call them penguins too, because the Air Force, how many of them do you really think they fly? Maybe 3%, right? Then you listen to ground pounders like myself, and maybe an occasional coastie. Let's not do that. Okay, but most of all, I will be advocating to patriots like yourself that get a lump in their throat when they hear the national anthem being played at a ball game. You see, one of us can be run off, two of us can be disregarded, but a show's audience, together we are a movement. All right, here we are live at the Seminole County, USA, on the borderline of Winter Springs and Oviedo. And we're in the YouTube Remember the Fallen studio, going live here, and we're going to talk about the unbreakable bonds of the Marines that fought in Vietnam, okay? Yeah, once again, I'm going to do this verbatim. I'm not getting a lot of feedback on the email about having some good advocates on the show, so nobody's giving me any leads, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of this one. I'm going to do it from verbatim again, only because these articles are just outstanding at the Epoch Times. Okay, so this is by Catherine Yang. All right? It's titled, Marines Taking Care of Their Own. Ed Boren on helping the families of fallen Marines. Ed Boren was in high school during the Vietnam War, and he wanted to become a Marine. His sophomore year in college, he told his mother, and she cried. Boren didn't have to go to war. He had an exemption because his father had passed away. His brother, who had served in the army, had also passed away. But a few months later, she came back with a Catholic medal with an enameled red, white, and blue border that bore the words Sea, Air, Land, and said he could join. I haven't taken it off since, Boren said. Boren was in combat for 13 months, and the Marines lived up to every expectation of character he had for them. What stood out to me was the loyalty and the professionalism of the military at the time. It validated my rationale for becoming a Marine. It was everything I had thought about and hoped for, and it came to fruition. I have no problem dying for a good Marine, he said. It makes you a brotherhood. That's what I found to be enlightening and fulfilling, and the reason why I'm still connected with the Marine Corps. This is something that never leaves you, which is why Boren now volunteers most of his time with the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation, MC-LEF. Google that, which serves families of fallen Marines. Boren has worked with the foundation for the past 8 years, and in 2014 took over as co-president along with John Connor. Since its inception in 1995, the organization has given $78 million in scholarships to more than 4,100 children of Marines and other humanitarian assistance to families, such as covering an officers' medical debts. I am a former Marine, and Marines look after Marines. That's part of it. The bigger part is I was in combat for 13 months, and I have little residue from that experience. This helps me out an awful lot, Boren said. It makes me feel fulfilled, grateful that I'm there to help out other Marines. This is therapy as far as I'm concerned. Exactly. This is therapy for me doing this podcast as well. Next title, Unbreakable Bonds. The bonds Boren forged in Vietnam has stuck with him to this day. When Boren got to Vietnam, he met 19-year-old Corporal Willis Turner, who just had a way with people. I thought the world of him right off the bat, Boren said. He made Turner a sergeant within a month and a platoon sergeant within 2. It was the best decision I ever made as a platoon commander in Vietnam because he was so spectacular. He was so good with the troops. I found out years later he never said a word to me that he was the recipient of the Silver Star for saving 6 Marines during a firefight which ensued about 2 or 3 months before I got there, Boren said. One of those Marines was a lieutenant who was Boren's predecessor. Corporal Turner left his secure position, went over a hill to where all these wounded Marines were, and he would grab one. Bullets were flying all around, and he'd drag him back to safety. And he did that 6 times, he said. The two of them lost touch after returning from the war, and Boren had tried unsuccessfully to track him down for several years. But just 2 months ago, they finally reconnected at an MC-LEF, Google it, fundraising dinner event in Dallas. He lives in Dallas, and after 51 years of trying to find him, I just got a hold of him, Boren said. He showed up at the airport to pick me up, and I have a picture on my cell phone of us just crying and embracing and crying at the airport. He was a true hero and a great soldier and a great example to the platoon. When he was with me, he probably saved several lives because he was on top of these guys, Boren said. I just think the world of this fellow, and I'm so glad we reconnected after 51 years. Helping families. There's an iconic photo of a young boy choking back tears at his father's funeral as a Marine hands him a U.S. flag. After the death of Marine Staff Sergeant Marcus Golozinski in Iraq 2004, MC-LEF created a scholarship bond for his son. Do I ever remember that? Oh my goodness. Yes, I re-enlisted in 2007 after seeing that choking back tears at his father's funeral. That's when I did it. I called up my recruiter. I said, I'm meeting you tomorrow. I have all the paperwork with me. I want to sign on the dotted line after seeing that iconic photo. Unbelievable. And I'm reading this article right now. This is amazing. The son just graduated college. The son graduated college and calls the office and says he graduated college. I want to thank you for all the help helping me out and get me through college, Morin said. That just happened in the last month. That's why it's fresh in my mind. As of January 1 of this year, we upped the amount of scholarship grants each child from $30,000 to $35,000, he said. You know why, right? College went up. When a Marine, Navy Corpsman, or FBI agent dies in service, the MC-LEF, Google it, then deposits $35,000 into an account in each of the children's names and hands the account over to their parent or guardian to hold on until the child is 18 and can access the funds plus interest. Wow, that's awesome. Our dream would be that they go to college, Boren said. Some don't and invest the money in other ways, and it's theirs to do so. But the majority of the children do put the money toward college. It's great to hear their success stories, what they've gone on to do. And some of them actually end up donating money on a yearly basis to the foundation as a thank you to us. Next subtitle, Respect for Veterans. There has been a sea change in the attitude toward veterans during Boren's life. Today, Americans are appreciative, and Boren often hears, thank you for your service. This respect has grown over the years, as has support for the foundation. Boren remembers when his plane landed in California after a 15-hour flight back from the war, the first thing we're told was, don't leave the plane. He was stunned. They just spent half a day sitting in an airplane to come home, and now we're told to stay put. They said, you can't leave the plane because there are demonstrators there, Boren said. The plane dropped off those going home on the West Coast and then headed for New York, where Boren heard another announcement. They said, when you get home, you take your uniform off, and you're not to put it back on until you report back 30 days later to whatever base you're going to. Boren said he wasn't sure what he was hearing. Then he got home and saw the total apathy toward those who served in the war. Nobody cared. Where have you been? I was in Vietnam for 13 months. Why? Why'd you do that? It was total apathy. It was just no sympathy whatsoever, no appreciation. It was a dark cloud over veterans coming back from overseas and that existed for many years later, Boren said. He recounted in May 7, 1985, the Vietnam Veterans of America wanted to have a ticker tape parade in New York City. Finally, 10 years later, after the war was over, to welcome home the Vietnam veterans. The city said the organization would have to come up with enough money to cover the cost of security, cleanup, and so on. They came down to the last day. They were $1 million short, Boren said, and a guy named Donald Trump stepped forward. Without fanfare or publicity, he handed the organization a check for $1 million. He said, "You'll have your parade," Boren said. Trump is also a regular donor to MC-LEF. Google it. I got to read this article again, okay, because this is amazing. This is what you don't hear on the fake news. Boren recounted again in May 7th, 1985. The Vietnam Veterans of America wanted to have a ticker tape parade in New York City. Finally, 10 years later, after the war was over, to welcome home the Vietnam veterans. The city said the organization would have to come up with enough money to cover the cost of security, cleanup, and so on. They came down to the last day. They were $1 million short, Boren said, and a guy named Donald Trump stepped forward. Yeah. Number 45, hello. Without fanfare or publicity, he handed the organization a check for $1 million. He says, "You'll have your parade," Boren said. Trump is also a regular donor to MC-LEF. Google it. After 1985, I think it slowly, very slowly turned around, and now everybody loves a veteran, Boren said. "Thank you for your service." That's what everybody says, but nobody said that before. It's a 180-degree turn. Next subtitle. An uplifting role. Boren has nearly full-time position doing everything from taking out the garbage to handwriting thank you letters and ordering golf balls for their events. The nationwide organization puts on 16 or 7 events a year, and he and the co-president travel to attend almost all of them. Out of the entire organization of more than 100 people, they work with only one part-time employee, and thus are able to give almost every dollar donated to the organization to families who need it. Going back 8 years, my biggest challenge was to get the word out because nobody really, even in the Marine Corps, even heard of MC-LEF. Google it, Boren said. So my biggest challenge was to get the word out there as much as possible. Boren encouraged people to hold more golf tournaments around the country, and they added events in Las Vegas, in Scottsdale, in California, along with 5 or 6 more each year on the East Coast. Once we got the word out, people appreciate what we do, Boren said. He really feels MC-LEF, Google it, is making an impact, not just for the families of Marines and federal law enforcement, but for regular Americans who appreciate the mission. Donors across the country see something that they appreciate, and the outpouring from Americans across the country is just amazing, Boren said. The fact that we have expended over $78 million and monies keep pouring in because they believe in our cause and they want to help these families out. They're there to support their fellow Americans. It's uplifting. It's terrific, Boren said. All right, it's that time to sponsor our sponsors, right? So before you go to the restroom out there, you got about 5 minutes. For all you fit veterans in the audience, get down and give me 22 everyday push-ups for the veterans that will die of suicide tomorrow.
Life doesn't have a pause button. Thankfully, Enterprise keeps you moving forward with ease. Car in the shop? Stay in the driver's seat with the replacement rental. Looking to buy? Enterprise has access to over 500,000 quality pre-owned vehicles. They even make commuting to work a snap, so you can keep moving and grooving. Rent, buy, or share. Enterprise is the one place to go for every place life takes you. You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you locked today another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com. For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope in me. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 5,000 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 5,000. Enjoy!
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
Now rap like this. When I get all stand up, then I shout. Tip me over and pull me home.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council. KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
USA Radio News with Wendy King.
The Trump administration met with House members to discuss the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Virginia Democrat Jerry Connolly.
My reaction to this briefing was it was sophomoric and utterly unconvincing.
Reaction to the briefing came down along party lines with some notable exceptions. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah.
What I found so distressing about that briefing was that one of the messages we received from the briefers was do not debate, do not discuss the issue of the appropriateness of further military intervention against Iran.
Lee says he will support the Democratic-sponsored but largely symbolic resolution to limit the president's military action against Iran.
I'm now going to support it. I walked into the briefing undecided. I walked out decided, specifically because of what happened in that briefing.
This is USA Radio News. It's been a day of mourning across Canada. Of the 176 people killed in the Ukrainian Airlines crash in Tehran on Tuesday, 63 of them were Canadian. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says 138 of the passengers were bound for Canada.
I want to express my deepest condolences to those who are mourning the loss of a loved one. Your loss is indescribable. This is a heartbreaking tragedy.
Ukrainian officials originally blamed mechanical troubles on the crash, but now have backed off that claim, just as Puerto Rico started to try to recover from Tuesday's 6.4 magnitude earthquake. The island was rocked with a 4.7 aftershock. More than 250,000 Puerto Ricans are still without water, and another 500,000 are still without power. On Wall Street, the Dow was up 161 points, the S&P 500 up 16, and the Nasdaq up 60. You're listening to USA Radio News. Two White House candidates are spending big dollars on Super Bowl commercials. USA's Chris Barnes has the story.
The re-election campaign for President Trump announcing that it's purchased an ad slot during Super Bowl 2020 that will run early in the game. Shortly before that announcement,
Okay, I'm back from the break, and once again, this is Sergeant Dave with the Remember the Fallen podcast, and I'm here live in beautiful Seminole County, USA, on the Winter Springs Oviedo line in the YouTube Remember the Fallen studio. All right, back to this great article. This guy, Boren, man, he built this organization, and the next subtitle is Luckiest Guy in the World. When Boren isn't traveling across the country for events and raising awareness for MC-LEF, Google it, he spends as much time as he can with his family. His 3 children are all married, and he now has 9 grandchildren. And the whole family gets together every year for major holidays. I get to see them as much as I possibly can, he said. They're wonderful. Everyone is just absolutely precious. Out of this world, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. The foundation does keep him busy. Since January 1st, we've expended just over $2.5 million, affecting the lives of 121 children and families, he said. Just the fact that you're helping all these people out, these children out, who under ordinary circumstances will not receive anything like that. It's just rewarding. Many of the MC-LEF, Google it, chapters and annual events across the country were started by someone who was a Marine or had a family member who was a Marine. But the majority of the people who volunteer for MC-LEF, Google it, aren't. You know what's funny? Probably more than 50% of the people, of the over 100 people that volunteer, they were never in the Marine Corps. They were never in the service. That struck me. It's probably more like 60% that were never in the military, but they, for some reason, appreciate what we do, Boren said. I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be in a position that I am. I get more back than I give. What an amazing man, how he built this organization. Wow, I wish I had someone like him on my team. NeverForgottenMemorials.org. I'm kind of struggling out there. So, actually, I kind of let the site go down because I wasn't getting any type of funding. So, I'm putting more focus, laser focus, on the podcast right now. And it's just, I'm great. I'm lucky, too. I feel I'm a lucky guy. I'm a blessed veteran. Very fortunate to be part of the military and to share these stories with our audience out there. So, I'm very lucky as well, Boren. Okay? All right, it's getting 0:30 for the show, and I'm just about ready to go into rack ops mode. But before I relax, never. One last promo. So go to sergeantdavematthews@gmail.com. That's SGT Dave Matthews with 2 T's, HEWS, @gmail.com for suggestions for the show's content. Or if you know a good piece of gear, a veteran's advocate, I will get him on the show. All right, copy me email again, sergeantdavematthews@gmail.com. Or you can go to my Facebook page and like the page. It's Remember the Fallen, all one word. Like it, please. Remember the Fallen, all one word. Copy. And if you're not into that, how about the Twitter thing? If you're into the Twitter handle, it's Sergeant Dave at Heroic Memorials, plural. Sergeant Dave at Heroic Memorials. Or if you're not into the Twitter bird chirping thing, you can go to my website. Maybe it's up. I haven't looked at it in a while. NeverForgottenMemorials.org. And mark your calendar every Thursday night on your phone at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at KLRNradio.com. Select the shows, and you'll see the show is, I'm the 6th one down after the Bible. Tap on that, after the Bible. Tap on that show, and you'll see all my episodes. I got 84 episodes. Been doing it for a year and a half, more than a year and a half now. So, show's up and running, and that one should be me every Thursday night. So, that's an order until all the troops come home. All right, fall out. Pop Smoke out.